Bolton's new book. And to be honest, the whole thing's so dumb. I think it's called something like The Man in the Room, or The Last Man in the Room, or What He Told Me in the Room, or I don't know, just call it Orange Man Bad. I mean, the whole thing's just getting to the point of stupid. Anyway, Bolton, the media got some early access to it, and they got some quote unquote leaks. And I wonder who gave them those leaks. I'm sure it was Bolton. But so he the media's having they're going crazy with.
Well, they're having a ball.
Yeah, go. I've got so many tweets lined up. I don't know. Do you want to say something? You want me to read you the tweets as what's going on?
Well,
Trump says Bolton should be in prison, or he should be in prison. Yeah, he should be in prison. He says for divulging all this stuff, and Bolton's,
Well, can I just make a quick point about that before we get on to the book itself, which is, of course, there is supposed to be a court case in which the Justice Department is trying to prevent publication of the book because it contains classified material. And these leaks to the media, whoever is responsible, seem to be intended to preempt that court case. Now, irrespective of whether this information that's been leaked now is classified, I suspect some of it is. I think that is borderline contemptuous of the court, of whoever did it. I mean, which ought to, frankly, annoy the court considerably and might have an effect on whatever decision it makes. Contempt of court can sometimes be the equivalent of a criminal offense. It's not exactly a criminal offense, but if it's very extreme, you could be sent to prison over it. So I just make that point because really, I mean, to act in this way when the matter is in the hands of the court, which is actually looking at it, it seems to me extraordinary and very contemptuous. Now, I'm just going to say that for the moment. I don't expect much to happen on that point, but I just want to say, because you're saying you're quite rightly about the way the media's making a ball about all of this, the way that which perhaps Mr. Bolton himself is behaving. I think it's something that we do need to be aware of because it shows the way in which some people are prepared to behave, to cut corners, to disregard legal process, to show contempt for the court, to show contempt for the classification rules, for the government of the United States, for all of that. And I think we just need to bear that in mind. For the rest, I would be delighted to hear your tweets.
All right, well, let me get tweets from the reaction from all around Twitter and the reaction from Trump and some other pundits. And I mean, real quick, Alexander, Trump, after the Flynn thing and after they got to Flynn, Trump, we've said it many times, Trump never found his footing with regards to the NSA and the National Security Advisor. And he really screwed up with Bolton. We knew he screwed up with Bolton. I'm sorry. Trump is to blame for this.
Yeah.
Trump is to blame. And I know the people in the comment sections are going to, lose it because I say that, but he's to blame. He should never have hired Bolton. He should never. Everyone knew Bolton was an absolute freaking warmonger, neocon snake. Everybody knows that. Everybody in DC, me, you, everyone watching this video, everyone knows it. Trump really screwed up by hiring the guy.
Absolutely. Can I just say something quickly? I mean, not only is he a neocon warmonger on steroids, he is known to be an absolutely ruthless, bureaucratic infighter and a person who takes no prisoners and who comes after you if you do anything that he disapproves of. You take a scorpion by its tail, you get stung. I mean, that's exactly what Trump did. He should never have gone anywhere close to John Bolton. John Bolton is, in some ways, a very clever man. He is an extremely dangerous man, and certainly not someone Donald Trump should ever have allowed anywhere close to the White House or to the administration.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so sick of this crap. Anyway, let's deal with Bolton, and let me read you the tweets. Where should I start? Let's see. Defund the police. John Bolton, a notoriously mendacious enemy of all living beings on the planet, is discovering that every other great Republican hope of the resistance has Liberals will eagerly lap up any piece of hysterical Cold War propaganda if they think it can be leveraged against Trump. Zero Hedge has a title of an article that reads, Navarro rips Bolton book as swamp revenge porn. All about the money. That's a quote from Navarro. All about the money. C-SPAN, Peter Navarro on John Bolton. It's a big lie, Bolton. It's book deal Bolton. He's doing it for the money. That's pretty clear. My view is it's the Washington Swamp's equivalent of revenge porn. I've got more. Alexander Javier Blas says, soybean diplomacy. The WSJ has published an excerpt of Ambassador John Bolton's forthcoming book revealing Trump-Xi conversation and how the American president pleaded his Chinese counterpart to buy U.S. soybeans so he could win farm states in the 2020 presidential elections. Oh boy. From Edward Wong, WSJ excerpt of Bolton book has Trump and China bombshells. Bombshells, Alexander. Trump told Xi building concentration camps for Muslims was, quote, exactly the right thing to do. Trump pleaded with Xi. He pleaded with Xi to help him with re-election by making U.S. farm product buys. And Trump helped Xi with ZTE. That's the tech company, the phone company, modem company, whatever, ZTE. From Philip Wegman, Bolton calls Mnuchin a panda hugger. He's a panda hugger. According to Bolton, Trump told Xi to go ahead with building the camps for imprisoned Uyghurs. Dinesh D'Souza, this is a good tweet. Really, this is it? John Bolton's smoking gun? Trump has been jokingly putting out memes about his 4 years. This conversation, if it occurred at all, seems obviously jocular. Bolton, however, whom I knew quite well from AEI, doesn't have a jocular body, doesn't have a jocular bone in his body. That's Bolton was referencing that Trump wants to be president forever. Here's a tweet from Will Chamberlain. According to John Bolton, posting this meme was an impeachable offense. And Alexander, everyone will see this on the video. It has where Trump tweeted a meme about he's going to be president, Trump 2024, 2028, 2032. As a joke, Trump tweeted that. And so Bolton actually thought that Trump was serious about being president for life. From Sager and Jetty, pretty telling that the episode which pissed off Bolton the most during his tenure was Trump calling off airstrikes, which would have killed dozens of Iranian soldiers in June 2019. The excerpt from the book is Bolton still seems incensed at this unexpected display of caution and humanity on the part of Trump, deeming it the most irrational thing I ever witnessed any president to do. That is from the New York Times, in reference to the fact that Trump didn't want to bomb the hell out of Iran, and Bolton was upset about that. So Bolton's upset that Trump didn't want to go full out war mode. Of course, Bolton's upset about that. And finally, Alexander from the Trump war room, a tweet from Bolton from 2010. John Bolton in 2010, quote, if I had to say something I knew was false, I would do it. That's a direct quote from Bolton. I would do it if I had to say something false. And from Donald Trump, I'll leave the best for last. When Wacko John Bolton went to deface the nation and so stupidly said that he looked at the Libyan model for North Korea, all hell broke out. Kim Jong-un, who we were getting along with very well, went ballistic, just like his missiles, and rightly so. He didn't want Bolton anywhere near him. Bolton's dumbest of all statements set us back very badly with North Korea, even now. I asked him, what the hell were you thinking? He had no answer and just apologized. That was early on. I should have fired him right then and there. Bolton's book, which is getting terrible reviews, is a compilation of lies and made-up stories, all intended to make me look bad. Many of the ridiculous statements he attributes to me were never made. Pure fiction. Just trying to get even for firing him like the sick puppy he is. All right, Alexander. I read you a lot. What did we cover? China, Trump begging Xi. We covered Bolton upset that Trump didn't want to bomb the hell out of Libya. We covered that Bolton was upset that Trump was joking about winning re-elections over and over again. I mean, it's just pure madness.
No, it
Very
is. It's
nice.
complete. It's complete, man. I mean, it's just consumed with anger and vitriol and an attempt to get back at Trump and to do Trump damage, which, by the way, it won't. But can I just make a few quick observations? I mean, he's leaking, or he's giving his own account of conversations between the president of the United States and the president of China. I would have thought that was classified. I would have thought that information was definitely classified. So it's wholly inappropriate that it's in the book at all. And I think it's wholly inappropriate that it's been leaked in the way that it has been leaked. So that's the first quick observation about all of that. But can I just say, I mean, first of all, most of this completely uncorroborated. When Trump says it's all made up, I'm sure he's right. I mean, who else is coming forward and confirming some of these nonsensical stories? Some of the things that Bolton attributes to Trump, they might have a element of truth in them, but they are completely distorted. So it was well known that as a result of the, during all the negotiations with China, Donald Trump was fighting for the US farm industry, for the US farmers, and was pushing the Chinese to buy US soybeans. No mystery about that at all. That's his job. He is fighting to protect, to enhance a part of the US economy. Every president should be doing things like that. Some presidents in recent years, Barack Obama, e.g., or Bill Clinton, perhaps have shown less concern about fighting to protect American businesses and American industries and American jobs. But Donald Trump, on this occasion at least, was doing it. So what does Bolton do? He turns it round and he says that he's all about trying to help himself get re-elected. He's taking it and giving it the worst possible, most distorted, interpretation. Which, I mean, no doubt Trump was not unaware of the fact that soybean farmers would be more likely to vote, for him than would support those particular states which might be voting for him. But I'm sure that wasn't the main reason. But that's the way Bolton likes to play it. So it's an angry book by an angry and bitter man, and it shows again that his major issue with Trump was that Trump was not the neocon, warmongering, belligerent president that Bolton wanted, that he didn't allow Bolton to do many of the things, start the kind of wars that Bolton wanted to start. And you see how Bolton is furious because Trump stopped him starting a war with Iran, which would have been a disaster for the United States. Trump, for his part, is furious because Bolton wrecked the negotiations with North Korea. And we've seen the consequences of that too. We've been discussing it in recent videos. So these may be points of difference between them. But in every case, I'm going to say it straightforwardly, it's Trump who comes out right. It's Bolton who comes out wrong in them. Bolton is a warmonger, and the people who are tweeting that it's incredible that the Democrats are making a hero of this man, who, when he was working for George W. Bush, they relentlessly criticized. This person is absolutely right to point out to the rank hypocrisy of that. Now, this book isn't going to achieve anything. If Bolton thought that Donald Trump was acting, inappropriately and unconstitutionally, why didn't he resign? I mean, that was what he should have done. He didn't do. It was Donald Trump who, in the end, sacked him. It comes across as I said, an angry and bitter book by an angry and bitter man out to make a lot of money and to do Donald Trump as much harm as possible. I predict it will do none of those things. It has the potential, on the contrary, to get John Bolton into legal trouble. Though whether it will or not, we will see.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to do any damage to
No.
Trump whatsoever. If anything, from what I understand from these leaks, it makes Trump once again. I like Trump more because
Yeah.
he doesn't want to go to war.
Correct.
That's the gist of it.
Absolutely.
Bolton wanted to bomb the hell out of everybody, and Trump said no. Now the
Correct.
whole China thing. Okay, I see what they're trying to do. Before it was Trump in Russia. Now it's Trump in China. Okay, we get it. Trump is a puppet of Putin. Now he's a puppet of Xi. Fine.
I mean,
that's okay.
Think how crazy that is. I mean, the first administration in decades to take a strong line on China, which is Donald Trump's, is now being accused of being too close to China. I mean, compare the line that Donald Trump has been taking against China with that Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. You don't call those people pro-Chinese. Bill Clinton only let them into the WTO. I mean, all of that. You don't call those administrations pro-Chinese. You take the president who heads the most. I'm not going to say anti-Chinese, but the administration that has taken the strongest line against China in recent years, and you imply that he's somehow in the pocket of Xi Jinping. It is so completely ludicrous. It is so much reality turned on its head. And they're speechless about it. And it was only about a year ago, if you remember, that you had all these, Democrats and economics professors and people saying, that the trade war that Donald Trump had launched against China was going to be a disaster for the United States. And now John Bolton comes along, writes his book, and this man who launched the trade war against China, Donald Trump, he's in the pocket of the Chinese. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, people do need to get their stories straight. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it just makes the head spin. But I mean, all of that is just nonsense. I mean, it's absolute nonsense. As I said, what it shows is Donald Trump trying again to cut deals, to work with Xi Jinping, protects the US agricultural industries, tries to negotiate trade deals with the Chinese, talks about all kinds of other issues. And we have a person like this called John Bolton, hovering around, clearly out to make trouble with the United States and China, and with the United States and everyone else in every possible way that he can. Can I just add something, which is that it is well known that when Trump appointed Bolton, he got Bolton to promise him that Bolton would not start any wars. In fact, we see that Bolton was working ceaselessly to start wars. So Bolton broke his word to Trump. Trump was foolish to think that Bolton would do otherwise. But I remember that very well when it happened.
That's what I want to get into. I mean, everything else is just absolutely stupid. Everyone knows Bolton's an ass. So, fine. We all know that the mainstream media and the Democrats and all the anti-US, anti-Trump crowd is just going to go crazy over this book. Fine. We know we're going to get another impeachment hearing or God knows what else. I'm not saying we're going to actually get an impeachment, but you know what I mean. Everyone's going to go crazy. But I want to just spend a couple of minutes to hear your thoughts on the fact that Trump did hire Bolton. Here's a final tweet from, I believe this is Mike Cernovich's Twitter account, Blue Flu Cernovich. It has to be Mike Cernovich. This is what Mike Cernovich says. Do I care that Bolton is stabbing Trump in the back? Not at all. General Flynn was NSA and Trump made his choices. Being outraged on behalf of a 70-plus-year-old man who makes poor choices is well beyond my job description. Now, I think Cernovich says a couple of very insightful things, and he's a smart guy. Number one is Trump fired Flynn. He instead of backing Flynn and sticking with him, at that point in time, Trump backed down. That was a massive mistake. Never back down to the mob and to these crazies. That's point number one. So that's what Cernovich is saying. Flynn was his man. Trump let him go.
Yes.
We know what happened after that, McMaster's
Yeah.
and then Bolton. The other point that Cernovich is making is that everyone knew Bolton was going to stab you in the back. Everyone knew Bolton hated you. Everyone knew Bolton was a freaking crazy.
Yes.
Why did you hire him? That's my question to you, Alexander. What possibly went through Trump's mind? I know some people are going to say 5D chess and 6D chess, and Trump did it so he could expose the deep state. Come on now. Come on. What is the reason that Trump hired Bolton, especially after he made such a good choice with Flynn?
Yes. Oh, it's a huge question. It's an excellent question. I mean, can I just make a point, and before we deal with it, that one of the fundamental problems with Bolton is that he's a fundamentally insubordinate subordinate. I mean, many of the complaints Bolton is making ultimately are that he is not himself the president of the United States. It's Donald Trump who is the president, who makes the decisions, not John Bolton, who is supposed to be his national security advisor. But anybody who has followed US foreign policy and US politics over the last 20 years with any attention knows the kind of man John Bolton is. So why did Trump pick him? I have great difficulty, real great difficulty understanding this. And by the way, I also agree with you that Trump was completely wrong to back down on his choice of Flynn. He should have kept Flynn as his national security advisor, backed him to the hilt, and I think he could have done, and it would have been much better for him in every conceivable way. I have difficulty understanding why Trump appointed Bolton. I'm going to make a number of guesses. Firstly, I think he knew that Angela Merkel and the Europeans didn't like John Bolton. So I think anything that Merkel doesn't like, Donald Trump sometimes has a tendency to do. And I think in this instance, it led him absolutely down the blind alley. I think the other thing he perhaps thought was that Bolton, who went out of his way in media articles and things to basically flatter Trump and to support Trump and seem to be discounting the Russiagate hoax nonsense, obviously in order to get a job. I think that perhaps Trump thought that Bolton, as a well-known bureaucratic infighter, but somebody who agreed with Trump on various things, he'd bring him in and he would protect the president from a deep state bureaucracy. It was obviously out to get him. If that was the calculation that Trump made, it could not have been more wrong. It was a totally mistaken calculation, because we saw that Bolton, in fact, on the contrary, wanted to actually allied with the deep state against Donald Trump. But I think there's another third reason, which is perhaps the single most important one, which is that at that point, which is, midway through Trump's first term, he was finding it difficult to find officials who would support him in terms of the very strong policy he wanted to take with Iran and the strong policy he wanted to take with China. If you remember, McMaster and his Secretary of State at that time, I've forgotten his name, his first Secretary of State, the forgettable one, were opposing him pulling out the Iranian nuclear.
Tillerson, you mean?
Tillerson, actually, Rex Tillerson, that's right. Tillerson and McMaster were opposing him pulling, and Mattis at the Defense Department were all opposing Trump on scrapping the JCW, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action with Iran, the nuclear deal with Iran. And I think he thought that if he brought in Bolton, who was known to be opposed to the nuclear deal with Iran and who was known to want a strong line with China, that would actually help him. And in fact, as I said, it's proved disastrous in every respect. You're absolutely right. Trump made the correct pick for national security advisor before he became president. That man was Michael Flynn. Now that I've seen, the transcripts of Flynn talking with the Russian ambassador, I've no doubt of it. Flynn knew exactly what he was doing. He knew his job. He knew how to conduct diplomacy. He was doing it absolutely properly. He was a bridge builder, and at the same time, somebody who knew when the United States needed to be firm and knew how to do it also. And Trump should have backed him 100%. He was a new president. He was very inexperienced. He was intimidated by the deep state elements. He was probably unnerved by some of the Russiagate conspiracy theories that were floating around. He thought if he ditched Flynn, it would clear the decks and clear the air. It did exactly the opposite. And in the end, he ended up with Bolton, who, as I said, was grossly insubordinate, allied with the deep state against him, and has done, in the end, no end of damage. But damage which does not include this book. This book isn't going to damage Trump in any way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I think it was also Pence that pushed Trump to get rid of Flynn as well.
I have no doubt.
Role as well. Yeah,
I have no doubt about that. Also, I mean, I think Pence has
with the whole lying thing. Remember, like Pence said, "Oh yeah, Flynn lied to me," and yeah,
absolutely. But if Donald Trump had been in charge and a more experienced president, you remember Donald Trump was very inexperienced at that time. A more experienced president would have handled that better. He'd have spoken to he would have spoken to Pence, he would have spoken to Flynn, he would have issued a statement. It would all have been sorted out, and Flynn would have been able to remain in post. But the whole thing was allowed to get out of control. And of course, when you have a James Comey working his evil deeds, hurt the FBI, it's always a problem. But a more experienced president who understood what he was doing better would have handled the situation with Flynn much better. A Ronald Reagan would never have lost Flynn and would never have appointed Bolton. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, all right. We're gonna hear this stuff for about the next week or two, and it'll.
I agree. I mean, it's not going to go very far because, as I said, most of these stories are so obviously made up, in my opinion. I mean, I really don't think anything.
Unless they dig up another impeachment scheme out of it or something.
Well, I think
Bolton would have to testify, which he won't.
Well, I think if they try and do that, I'm going to make a prediction. If they try to do that, I think the American people are now so sick of this that then definitely Donald Trump will win the election. I mean, that's my own view about it. I mean, I think that would be an absolutely crazy thing to do. It would be seen by most people in the United States as final and definite proof that the Democrats cannot win the election and that they're going by taking this desperate course, relying on the word of whom? Of John Bolton. I mean, really.
Yeah, Bolton refused to testify too.
Absolutely.
He'll write the stuff in the book, but he refused to testify.
I know. Well, he wants to make money out of it, of course. So, I mean, that's his cash back, isn't it? But I mean, do remember the point. If Bolton really saw illegal and impeachable behavior by the President of the United States, his duty to the United States and to the American people was to say it then, to resign and say it then, not to continue in office until the president sacked him and then write a book about it. I mean, that is so wrong at so many levels that in itself damns him and utterly discredits him as a witness.
Yeah, he'll get the book deal and then he'll be a contributor on CNN.
Exactly.
I'm sure. Well, I'm sure it's coming, or MSNBC.
Well, of course. And I'm sorry to say, despite all the things I said at the beginning about Bolton being in legal jeopardy, I'm afraid I don't think anything like that's going to happen, which is a shame because, frankly, I mean, he deserves it.
Oh, that's the least of the things he deserves.
Absolutely.
The least of the things he deserves.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll leave it there. Enough talking about Bolton. Hopefully he'll disappear.
Mm-hmm.
We'll never see him
he won't
again.
disappear.
He won't, I know, but
he won't disappear. CNN,
wishful thinking.
CNN, MSNBC, a cushy job awaits.
He'll be joining Comey and Brennan and all these guys
and
on
all these
MSNBC,
guys. I mean,
CNN,
exactly. That's where we'll see him soon.
Jeez.
Have no fear.
My God. What a gallery of thieves.
What a gallery
mainstream media has assembled, huh?
What a gallery of rogues and cheats and liars. I mean, really. I mean, this is the media that presents itself serving the American people, the fourth estate. But there we are. I mean, that's that's their problem, I suppose.
All right, guys, hit that like. Please help support this channel. Donate to us on PayPal, Patreon, subscribe, star. Check us out on SoundCloud and iTunes as well. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some great merchandise. We got really, really cool stuff, really cool mugs, really cool shirts. Pick up an American Shield mug or an American Shield shirt for those people watching us in the U.S. We also have other countries as well. And go to the Patriotic Legacy, pick up a Patriot Beacon. Great flashlight, the best flashlight or torch, Swiss Army knife of flashlights or torches. It's awesome. Feels great. Really good product for our friends at Patriotic Legacy. Alexander.
Oh, it is an amazing product. I mean, Alex calls it a flashlight because his background is from the US. My background obviously is British, so I call it a torch because that's what we call them in Britain. But whichever word you prefer, it is exactly what Alex said. It's the Swiss Army knife of torches or flashlights. It is a phenomenal torch. It's the best torch anywhere. It is wonderfully made. It is strong. It is rugged. It feels unbreakable, which, if you're the sort of person like me who has, hands that drops things, that gives you reassurance. And in fact, you're much less likely to drop it because you feel that you're holding something that's strong and secure and high quality, and that gives you confidence in the product. You've got even more reason to feel confidence because it's solar powered. So you don't need to worry about, the battery running out on you because it doesn't work on batteries. It works on sunlight. All you need to do is to keep it in the sun and it will keep working for you and be there for you whenever you need it. It's got an amazing beam, as you can see. Well, you can just about see because it's difficult in a channel, but it does. In the dark, it just goes tremendous distances and it lights things up beautifully and clearly. It actually a rather wonderful clear light. It's an amazing light, and you can have it at different powers. You can dim it slightly so that if you're in a room, if you're indoors, for example, you're not going to blind people by walking with it, because it can be it's a very powerful light when it's at full power. And if you're walking on the road and you want to alert people to your presence, you can flash it, and that's also incredibly useful. Also, it's got all kinds of other accessories. I mean, if I keep mine in my car because I find it's incredibly useful to have in a car. But if you need it in the car, it's got all sorts of enormously useful things it can do. It's got a compass. So if you have problems with your sat nav, which you can do, I mean, certainly in Europe you can. I mean, there are parts of Europe where the sat navs don't work very well. Well, you've got a compass there, which will help you with your directions. I also use that compass, by the way, when I'm out walking, long walks in places like the Peak District or Dartmoor or wherever. Well, you don't want to get lost in Dartmoor, I can assure you. So having a compass is an incredibly useful thing to have there. It's also got an alarm. So if you want to draw people's attention, you can. It also, by the way, has the advantage of attracting my dogs. So that's what that alarm does. We also have, it can also act as a hammer. And if you're in a car and, you have to get out of the car quickly, and you're locked in, well, you can break the windscreen, and you can do that very, very well with this tool. And of course, if you need to cut yourself out or cut someone else out of the car, well, it's got a seat belt cutter there too. And last but not least, it's got two incredibly valuable accessories. I said it's solar powered and it never fails on you. You can actually recharge other things with it. If your smartphone is out of power, well, it's got a port there or you can use it for your laptop or your tablet. So it's an incredibly useful aspect of this. It's another thing I find which gives you confidence. And last but not least, if you want to put it away somewhere where it's quickly within reach, there's a magnet. You can just put it on the side of your car or on a metal place in your home, and it's there immediately for use. So it is an absolutely wonderful torch. It is an amazing flashlight. It's made in the United States. However, it's supplied internationally. Wherever you are, they will ship it to you. So they ship it internationally, but it's made in the United States. As Alex said, it is the absolute perfect, best flashlight torch you can have. It's made by our friends at Patriotic Legacy. It's the Patriot Beacon. It is an outstanding product in every respect. So can I also quickly mention the other amazing products in our own shop? I've mentioned often our magic mugs, which are the best mugs in the world. I've mentioned our amazing shirts, 100% cotton, incredibly stylish and comfortable, beautiful shirts to wear, polo shirts like the one I'm wearing now, t-shirts and v-neck shirts. T-shirts come both long-sleeved and short-sleeved. We've got hats, hoodies, and stickers. We've also got other amazing products in our shop. Alex is busy adding to our product line some wonderful things there. I'm making a list of more things that I want from that shop, which I'm going to be sending to Alex shortly, and they are fantastic things which you will find in our shop. Also, don't overlook our ebooks on subjects like Russiagate, Ukrainegate, Brexit, Epstein, oil, they're all there. So come to our shop, get yourself one of these amazing Patriot Beacons from our friends at Patriotic Legacy. Support the Duran. Alex will tell you how to do all these things.
You'll find a link for the Duran shop down below, theduranshop.com. And before I forget, use the code Duran20 at Patriotic Legacy. You'll find a link for that site as well. Use Duran20 and you will get a 20% discount on everything you order from the Patriotic Legacy. And they're also running another contest this month. The winner will win a Patriot Beacon black color. So the winner will win a Patriot Beacon black color. They'll also win many other prizes, a monkey fist ball, a tactical pen. They got all kinds of great giveaways. Go to Patriotic Legacy, buy a torch, buy a flashlight, enter the contest. Maybe you will be the winner. Alexander Mercouris, Editor-in-Chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Until next time, everybody, take care.